Wow. Okay. Lawlers, today we're going to be focusing on 3 tips for Darius. These are going to be 3 very simple things that you could focus on in your Darius gameplay to really up your win potential, not only in lane, but hopefully in the entire game. So the first one, usually people don't like to hear this, but you just have to get better at hitting your cues. That's my first big tip for you. Go into a practice mode, get really good at throwing that cue out and learning how to hit with just that outer edge of that blade. That's going to deal more damage, and it's also going to heal you when you hit those enemy champions. If you're missing people, you're hitting them with the handle, which is the inner part of that circle. Not only are you not going to apply a hemorrhage stack, but you're also missing out on damage and healing. So in some of your trades against enemy Dariuses where you feel like, wow, it's impossible to kill this guy, he's chunking me out so hard with his Qs, and you're playing Darius, you don't feel like you have that power, it's probably because you're missing your Qs. So depending on the skin that you're playing, of course, the animation on this baseline skin here is pretty accurate. You're going to see that outer ring there. If they're outside of that, you're not going to hit. So just experiment, see how close you have to actually be with your character to grab that hitbox there and put those hemorrhage stacks on and deal damage. Okay, so first big tip to playing Darius better, just try and focus on hitting those cues in that outer edge, whether it's when they're going for their last hits, whether it's when you're trading. Make sure you get good at hitting those cues on the outer edge to deal more damage and heal. Okay, second big tip for Darius. This one's honestly pretty simple, just a lot of people don't do it. Always try and lead your W with an auto attack. Your W is an auto attack reset, so you're leaving a lot of damage on the table, especially with Darius if you're not autoing and then pressing W. Every time you damage an enemy champion with an ability or an auto attack, you're putting one of those hemorrhage stacks on them. So if you just walk in and press W, you're leaving an auto attack damage on the table and the hemorrhage bleed damage on the table. So please, please, please auto then W every time you want to use this W ability, okay? You can pair up the slow from that W like we talked about from the first tip to land those Qs more effectively. You know, it's easier to hit a Q on a stationary or slow target than it is one that can move freely. So a really good easy combo as a second tip here for Darius is auto W and then follow that up with a Q on your outer edge. Okay, so pretty simple stuff so far. The last one, again, if you take time to read the abilities, this is going to make perfect sense, but sometimes people rush, they get nervous. The last tip to playing Darius to his fullest potential is making sure you wait to press R until you have those 5 hemorrhage stacks on an enemy champion. You can keep track of this really easily by looking at these little blood drops around that champion. So every time you use a damaging ability or auto attack, they're going to get those stacks. When you get 5, that's the max stacks, you're going to see this big axe pop up over their head. That's your basically your go ahead to press R on them and drop the hammer, okay? The damage output, if you don't have full like 5 stacks, is pretty pitiful. Like you'll ult someone with no stacks or just 1 or 2 stacks, it's not really going to do anything. So you can see here, if I just press ult on this dummy, about 100 damage, right? Like that's almost no damage for an ultimate ability. This really ramps up though if you get the full 5 stacks. So my last tip for Darius, again, it's easy when you think about it, but before you press R, make sure you see that axe above their heads, okay? So you're going to see here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you drop that hammer and it deals a lot more true damage. Remember, this is an executing ability. It deals true damage. So even going from 120 up to a max of 239 while we have no AD items is more than double the damage. Okay, so try and hold that R until you see that guillotine over their head. Guys, that's my 3 tips to focus on for Darius as you're playing and learning the champion to have some better success. Let me know how it goes in the comments below if you have any questions or the next champ that you'd like to see one of these 3 tips for. I'll catch you guys in the next one.